Welcome. This is Spiritual Insights, and this is where we come to discuss all things spirituality, personal development, and of course, mindset. I do hope you find something of value and decide to stick around. So, I think for most people, 2024 is here, and I think for most goals have been set, and so now it's time to hit the ground running. In speaking to different people, I have realized that for a lot of people, they tend to go through this thing where you might end a relationship, right? Now you're coming into a new one, or you find that you're in a new relationship, only to realize that actually no, this is the same person, just in a different body, right? And that gets to be tiring because one, that means there's no growth or very little growth. Otherwise, why would I keep attracting the same thing? And so that is our starting point. Understanding what template am I actually working from? What's going on with me mentally and emotionally that keeps pulling in or accepting more of the same? Okay, so I'm gonna take you through this, and I would say it's so worth it because you get to see real, tangible results. Okay, so stick with me. First thing that we're going to do. The first thing is to have a conversation with yourself and actually ask yourself, what did I do to contribute to the breakdown of the relationship? Okay, did I stop taking care of myself? Did I stop having my own goals, my own personality, my own opinions? Did I become enmeshed? I think that's the word, enmeshed, yeah, in the relationship, right? It could be anything, your unique situation, but have a very frank conversation with yourself and actually acknowledge, what did I do to contribute? You also want to keep in mind to look at it from an action or a lack of action perspective, but also from a belief systems perspective. So what kinds of beliefs do I have or did I have in this relationship that actually turned out to be self-sabotaging? That is where the really, important information is going to come from, because ultimately we act from our beliefs, right? And it doesn't matter how different the other person tries to show up. If you have a set belief that actually is self-sabotaging, that's exactly what's going to happen. You're going to sabotage the relationship, right? Second thing to ask yourself is, how did the other person contribute to the breakdown? Okay, now I imagine this would probably be a lot easier for one, but this is essentially where you ask yourself, how did my needs stop getting met, right? Where did I start to feel unheard or neglected? Your unique situation. And what I want you to keep in mind here is, sometimes when you are in a relationship and you are so invested, in it working, right? We tend to actually ignore ourselves a little bit, or ignore some of our needs little by little, right? Until you actually realize that no, actually, this is a lot of self-sacrificing that's going on, okay? Whether emotionally, mentally, however else, right? So you want to allow all of that to come up and acknowledge it, right? Because we don't want to experience this again, okay? We don't want to repeat the same mistakes. Okay, so now that you have two different lists, right? Now we are going to reconcile these lists. So what I want you to do next is you are going to think back to either the relationship and or the person. But I want you to pick three things, just three, that you really appreciated about the person or the relationship, right? It could be that this person always showed up for you when you needed them, right? Whether you guys were good, bad, or somewhere in between. It could be anything, right? But three things that to this day you really still appreciate about the person and or the relationship. Because what this is going to do is now we are starting to change the neural pathways in the brain, right? Obviously, if you are heartbroken, you are hurt, you might be feeling victimized, you're feeling really low, right? We want to start changing that energy. And so when you start to focus on the positive things, what it does is it naturally pulls your attention away from all of this negativity and kind of just start getting into a place of, I appreciate that so and so did this and that for me. Okay, and I want you to focus more and more on that, because remember, this is about reconciling. Okay, this is about dropping the baggage. So this is actually very fundamental. The next step, this is probably one of the most important steps in all of this. When you go through all of this, because it's like a purge, right? What I want you to do next is to commit to a practice of forgiveness. I'll tell you why. Forgiveness is essentially detachment. Okay? The energy of forgiveness is, I'm no longer holding on to this, from a place of hurt and sadness and I was done wrong and I was betrayed. No. Forgiveness means I acknowledge what happened. I acknowledge that I have been hurt. I choose to forgive you nonetheless, because then I pull my energy back to me. Then I release you simultaneously. Okay? Now, if you're still fresh from a breakup, this person is going to be on your mind frequently. Okay? Some of the times when they're on your mind, you might want to break down or go sit somewhere by yourself and, all of that. That's perfectly fine. When I started doing this, I had recently learned of Ho'oponopono. Okay, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. But I then kind of changed it around for myself and I made it a bit shorter. And so again, what it does is it starts to shift your brain and your focus from the hurt more so to, what I'm experiencing now is not great. But this is absolutely not the end of it's not the end of the world. And better things can come from this. Better things can come because of this ending. Okay? But essentially, forgiveness really is for you because it's a form of detachment. You are pulling your energy back towards you. Okay? And you actually get to a place of neutrality. Because when I tried this, the first time I did, I remember it was a 3-year relationship. And I gave myself 3 weeks to grieve. The 4th week came around and I was like, okay, I'm moving on. Okay. And so I started with this. What then happened is literally a month later, I had come to this place of calm and being okay with the breakup and not feeling like I was done wrong and not feeling as hurt. It was like peace, But further than that, I actually started attracting new people, who just started noticing me out of nowhere. So forgiveness is important here. Okay, so at this point, we have reconciled the past, okay? You've acknowledged your feelings, you have acknowledged what worked, what didn't work, and now you know what you would like moving forward, okay? And you have an action plan of what to do when the past person does come in mind, okay? And I suggest stick to it, okay? It works. Now we're moving into the future, okay? So if you are somebody who would like to manifest a new relationship after this part is for you. The first thing we're going to do is you are going to take that list that you have about the past, right? Where there are things or there were things that you were missing from the past person, from the past relationship. Because you still want these things, right? You still want to experience them. So you're going to take this list. You're also going to go, okay, what would I like added to this? Okay, now you are creating an entirely new template for the kind of relationship that you want, okay? Or the kind of person this. Another thing I like to recommend at this step, and this is not from a petty place or anything, there's a reason, just stick with me, okay? When you create this list of the new relationship, the new person, make sure the new person is further than that, I'm gonna tell you why. Okay, when you do this, you have to match that energy, right? Whether it's in terms of lifestyle, whether it's in terms of, accolades, achievements, whatever it is, right? But you have to match the energy. And so what this step actually causes is, this is where you have to now start working on yourself as well. That's the whole point. Okay, so you've got your list of your new person, your new relationship. Who do I now need to become to match this? What adjustments do I need to make in my lifestyle, in my habits, in whichever area I need, right? In my beliefs about myself, do I need to start developing more trust, more confidence in myself, so that not only do I not accept bad behavior from a partner, but should it happen, I am more than prepared to enforce consequences, to enforce my boundaries, or to leave. So now that you've outlined all of this about your future person and your future relationship, this is where we now bring it all back to you. Okay, remember we said earlier, who do I need to become to match that energy, right? More likely than not, or ideally, you should have some new things on your list. Okay, I need to start going out more, start socializing more. I need to start building my network of, support. I need to start trying out new different hobbies or certain types of hobbies, right? But who do I need to become? Also remember, mentally, who do I need to become? Mentally and emotionally, do I need to do some emotional healing in some areas? Am I still carrying some baggage maybe from childhood, right? Who do I need to become? Because it's of very little use to change things on the outside if we don't simultaneously change the internal systems, right? We're just setting ourselves back. So focus very much on the mental, on the emotional, and then obviously with the action added to that. Okay, what this process does, I found, is when you start working on yourself from a place of self-love, from a place of, I'm moving into a newer, better version of myself, and you do it with love. That's another thing. Don't be harsh with yourself. Okay, if you don't get things right from the beginning, if you're struggling to stick to some of those new routines, it's okay, but try. Okay, if you can't do a full 30 minutes, do 15 minutes. Okay, but be gentle with yourself. That is one of the ways that I found to work really well for me, because it's kind of like, now you're being your own support system, now you're being your own cheerleader, right? I mean, have you ever tried to do something new and all the while you're telling yourself all these negative things? It's hard. It makes it so much harder, right? And so instead of having somebody outside of you cheer you on, you cheer yourself on. Okay, that's very important, I must add. So now you get to working on yourself. What this does is it starts to create the sense of, I am enjoying this new person I'm becoming. I am enjoying this growth that I'm feeling, right? And literally start changing your habits, start changing things bit by bit, systematically. And what happens is you actually start to pour love into yourself. When that happens, you don't even need to worry about attracting this person. The fact that you set your intention, the universe understands that, okay, this is what you want. But when you are moving with intention to match that energy, now they have to come in. Okay, in fact, what starts to happen is you start attracting options. Okay, different people will start approaching you, different opportunities will start approaching you as well. Why? Because all of this self-love is just radiating. People who just radiate positivity, we want to be around those people. People who just radiate confidence, we want to be around those people. That is what you are starting to cause. Lastly, okay, so like I mentioned before, once you start getting into this rhythm of focusing on yourself, being happy, content, and excited about yourself, your hobbies, your life fully, that energy will be matched by the universe, and you will start getting options. And if you've set your intentions detailed clearly, those people will come in with whatever you want. Okay, that's what they're gonna come offering you. Okay, I will say this: when that does start to happen and you now have the abundance of choice, you might want to run the opposite way if you meet somebody who feels familiar. Okay, because energetically that might mean I've been here and I've done this before. Okay, that might be more of that same person over and over again. So when people feel familiar to you, automatically be very careful. Okay, personally, I might run the other way. However, use your discernment, right? When you're dealing with new people who feel entirely different to you, and it's supposed to be that way, they're supposed to feel different to you, not like before. Why? Because now you've done all of this work on yourself. You have reset your template, which you're attracting from. So what you attract must be different. Okay? So when these new people start coming in and the energy feels different, what you want to do is, of course, be discerning. And above all else, there's one thing I've learned about relationships is you hold on to yourself. You hold on to yourself, your self-esteem, your self-concept, your sense of emotional independence, okay? Your constant work and improvement of self, your goals, your hobbies. Hold on to this person, because at the end of the day, remember, you are your constant, right? And somebody who's coming in with good and positive motives will like that about you. In fact, they will appreciate that about you. Okay, so hold on to yourself, make yourself happy. That way it'll be mirrored back to you, and other people will want to be around you because already you're in that energy regardless. Okay, so I hope you have found something to help you in this, and I will see you soon.